So welcome tonight. What I wanted to, so thanks for joining me. Of course, my name is Jeanette, and I'm a Platinum Leader with Young Living. And tonight, if you're doing boot camp with us, then you will see that yesterday's assignment was about your why, and today the assignment was about dreaming big. And that was something that, much like Jen Jordan, who did the call, she had said that she wasn't much of a dreamer. She's not a dreamer by nature. And I don't know, aside from the typical laying in bed at night and thinking like, oh, if I won the lottery and I had like $10 billion, this is what I'd do with it. That's about the extent of my dreaming too. And then we're heading out to Salmon Arm this weekend, and we're doing a Super Saturday out there. And they want us to talk about our aha moment when you decided that you wanted to build the business. When was your aha, I'm going to do this? And, you know, I didn't really have one particular aha moment, but the one thing that did happen was when I was propositioned by Chelsea, my aha moment wasn't really like my idea. It was Chelsea specifically saying to me, I think you should do this. You should give it a try. And we said yes. And then a couple weeks later, 3 weeks later maybe, we went to Calgary, Kevin and I, and we saw a husband and wife speak. And their names are Scott and Brenda Schuler, and they're from Minnesota. And he used to be a chiropractor, and she used to be a physiotherapist. And even 3 years ago, February, 3 years ago last month, she really talked a lot about what she called dream walking and not to be afraid to go dream walking. And it really resonated with me. And since then, I've never really been afraid to just let my mind wander about what this could really look like. So I really encourage you that when you're dreaming and your why marry together, then it really becomes something powerful. So definitely let it wander, let it go, and have a huge why. I really enjoyed when she said, you know, think about your why or your biggest dream, and then or your money, like this is how much money I want to make, and then add a zero and like times it by 10. Make it way bigger, because we don't give ourselves enough credit. And in the video Kevin and I did, that's the one thing that I really wanted people to understand is don't sell yourself short. There is so much available to us. And one of the aha moment I had was probably a year and a half into the business. I traveled to Florida for the Mastermind conference, and it is a generic network marketing conference. And that's when it really hit me, the aha moment, looking around the room full of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And that was an aha moment for me, that it's like anybody can find success doing this if you just plug into the system and do it. So I just wanted to touch on that about the dreaming big and having your why. If your why is big enough, the how just finds its way. And when you think, how is this going to happen? If your why is big enough, it will figure itself out. It really, really will. And when you're, like for me, I had a conversation with a few different builders, and they're just too busy to make anything happen. They can't do anything because they're just so busy. And I thought that's a very sad thing, that you're too busy for the rest of your life. Because if you let yourself dream big enough, then, and you really believe in your why and what this is going to look like on the other end of 4 years from now, then you will break through brick walls to make this happen. So not everybody has that burning desire. I mean, Brian Carruthers in Building an Empire, he says you need 3 things to make it in this business to be successful. One is to be coachable. One is to be willing to work, and the other is to have a burning desire. And it's true, some people just don't have that burning desire, and that is okay too. So moving on, I just want to talk to you a little bit tonight about prospecting and how do I talk to prospects. So we have 10 minutes left in this call, and I thought it would be great to have some tangible, concrete things, because often the hardest thing we do is prospect and talk to people. And how do we do that? And what does that look like? And we get so nervous about it. And truth be told, if you don't know how to talk to people, you're not going to make it in this business, because 97% of what we do is attitude, it's belief, and there's a few other things. I have them written down. Motivation, setting goals, that's 97% of our business, but 3% of our business is skill. And without that skill, we got nothing. So even though it's a small part, it's a very, very important part of this. And the skill is talking to people. So right now, we're going through, I'm going through Danny Johnson, and she is a network marketing guru. Look her up on Facebook and follow her. She's got some really great stuff. And the biggest thing that she talks about is FORM. You may have heard this before, and it's the acronym FORM, F-O-R-M. And it's how to talk to people. So really, she emphasizes the fact that if you are asking questions, you're in control of the situation. You're in control of the conversation if you're the one asking questions. And you want to be the one in control of the conversation. Your goal is to find out as much as humanly possible about the person that you're forming. So form, you're going to start talking about their family. Hey, how are you? Great. Are you married? Do you have kids? How old are your kids? Where do they go to school? How long have you been married for? Did you guys get married in this town? Oh, where'd you move from? It's all about your family. And that can go. Funny thing about this is, and you'll understand that the more you get somebody to talk about themselves, the more they like you. It's just the way it goes. That's human nature. The more they get to talk about themselves, the more they will like you. Me and Lisa were having a conversation, and Lisa's all about herself, all about herself, all about herself, and we walk away. I can guarantee you she's going to think, wow, Jeanette's awesome. Because it's just the way it goes. They were interested in me. How wonderful. It's human nature. It's the way it goes. So you want to be that interested person who's building that rapport with them. So you're asking about their family, and then next you move on to their occupation. And it's very subtle, and it's, what do you do? Do you love your job? That's awesome. How long have you been doing it for? Where'd you get your education from? What does your husband do? I did that today on Facebook, actually. A girl that I used to go to school with, like grade school, I messaged her and I said, hey, are there any good restaurants in your town? Because I have to come there tomorrow. And she's like, oh, not really. And I said, hey, how have you guys been? How are the kids? And she's like, oh, they're really busy. And this is just through Facebook. So I'm just forming her in a private message. And she's like, oh, things are good. Wes started his company. Oh, what's the company? Oh, what industry is that? I'm not familiar with that, and that kind of thing. So it can really be done anywhere. And then moving on to recreation, what people like to do for fun. What do they do in their spare time? And then, of course, the M goes to message. And that's usually where it shifts a little bit. And that's when they ask you, so what do you do? So you've spent all this time forming them, finding out about them. And the interesting thing is about network marketing, that our job really is to find out if they have a need we can meet. That's what we want to do. We want to find out if they have a need that we can meet. And guess what happens? They tell you exactly what it is when you're forming them. So when you're forming them, they are putting the writing all over the wall for you. So when you start talking about the job, oh, do you love your job? No, not really. It's pretty stressful. Oh, what about it don't you like? Oh, what about it do you like? Oh, you like working with people. Oh, you like talking to customers. Huh, interesting. So you're going to start learning little things about them so that when you get into your message and it's, well, what do you do? Then you have a really perfect opportunity to spin it, and you can say, well, I help people earn a paycheck from home. Then your goal right there is to say, if they want to know, how does that work? That's what you want. You want them to ask you, how does that work? What do you mean? Tell me more. So that you can say, I share health and wellness products with people so that they live a chemical-free life, or that they can avoid going to the doctor's office more often. You want to get them that information so that you can move in. If you have read the book, Go Pro by Eric Worre, he has those steps in there that you can then just fall into line about, if I sent you a video, would you watch it? If I gave you a book, would you read it? And then we can tie in everything that we've learned from before. But the number one thing is form. So get this. We are in a multi-level relationship business, and relationships come first. People do not care how much you know. All they want to know is how much you care. Bottom line. And that is how you can build that rapport with them, is by using form. So talking to them about their family, their occupation, and their recreation sets it up beautifully for them to tell you what needs you can meet, whether it's business or whether it's family, if it's an appropriate time. And you know what? Even if there is no appropriate time to bring up your product, or if I gave you a sample, would you try it? There's no appropriate time for that. You know what? The worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to have a new friend out of it. And that's not such a bad thing. So remember, your biggest motive in this is to build a relationship, and ultimately you want their success to be your motive. You want other people to find success. The reason you're here, the reason you're on this call, the reason you're with Young Living and sharing it is because you shared it with one person who had results and it energized you. That's what got you started. That's what made you fall in love, and that is something that you can't let go of. So remember that when you're talking to people, you're forming them because ultimately you want them to have success, and that is your motive right there. If you're going to be that hungry wolf that's just looking for $67 sign up, they are going to smell you out a billion miles away, and they're not going to want to have anything to do with you. And remember that you sell yourself before you sell anything else. People, the subconscious, they look right at you. I do. Everybody does it. You look at a person and you size them up. You look at their hair, you look at the way they're dressed, and instantly your subconscious is running through, could this be my friend? Is this somebody that that looks like I could trust? That's just how we process, because we want to relate to people. We want to be a part of things. We want to make friends, and that's how we're processing it. So remember to have that strong posturing and to have that form, because that's just going to be warm and opening for them. And then they're going to love you because you're interested in them. And it's going to be a lot easier at the end of your conversation to say, hey, I really liked talking with you today. Here's my phone. Could you go ahead and enter your contact info in? I'd love to be in touch with you later. And now they are entering their info in your phone. How perfect is that? And you're getting their contact information. So just a few tidbits for you tonight. Make it all about them. Get into the form of it so that you can build that rapport, and remember that you're selling yourself first and foremost. But from the beginning of the call, I want to encourage you to dream big. Go on your dream walks. If you have a husband or a significant other, go on those dream walks together, and what life could look like and what life could be like, because it will happen if you stick with it. And if you haven't seen my video from yesterday, then go try and look it up and have a look, because we are ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And I'm so happy to be on this journey with you. I'm going to go ahead and end the recording.